Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about bending and the major pentatonic scale. Now most guitarists start off playing the minor pentatonic and get comfortable with bending using that scale, but when it comes over to the major pentatonic they're not so sure what to do. But don't worry, I'm going to clear all that stuff up in this video. I'm going to show you where you can bend, what the bends mean, what notes you're bending to, and which ones sound good. Stay tuned and I'll tell you all about it. In this video then, we're going to discuss bending and the major pentatonic. But if you haven't done it already, hit like to like the video, click subscribe to subscribe to the channel, and hit that alert bell so you don't miss any updates. If you want the PDF with everything I'm going to talk about in this video, you'll see a link below to the description, so make sure you click that link and grab that. Right then, let's just get stuck in. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start off by just playing a C major pentatonic. This lesson is going to be based in C major. So here is our C major pentatonic scale. That's the one most guitarists use when they first start soloing using a major scale. The way I see that is my little finger's on my root, and you're kind of playing up on A minor, okay? So if you're new to this, that's a technique a lot often guitarists use. They find what key they're in, go back 3 frets and play up a minor pentatonic. Or the way I like to see it, I'd rather just stick my little finger on my root and then play up that scale. But as I've mentioned in other videos, if you're playing in a major, start trying to get your headspace into major land. You want to be thinking in C, not A. We're in C major, not A minor. We're in C major, okay? So it's going to really help when you're playing melodic solos. Now, the good news is, if you've been bending already when you've been playing A minor pentatonic, all the bends are in exactly the same place. So let's just talk about where that's going to be. Now I'm going to start bending from the G string. I'm just going to cover the G, the B and the E in this video. If you want to do bends on the D string and the A string and the E string, you can do, it's just a lot harder. So we're just going to stick to the G, the B and the E. So a C major pentatonic from a C note there in the 5th fret on the G string sounds like this. Okay, with that in mind then, let's talk bending. Now, I'm only going to be covering tone bends, okay? A tone is 2 frets on the guitar, so I'm only going to be covering tone bends. If you want bigger bends, or if you want bends using a major scale, that'll be for another video, but in this video we're just talking tone bends. So we can do a tone bend between our root and our second, so between the notes C and D in C major pentatonic. So whether you do that with your index finger, which is pretty hard, or you can, move position back and do it with your 3rd finger like that, you can actually bend from that note, so from a C to a D. Okay, the second one we can do then, we can bend up from the 7th fret on the G string, the note D, and we're bending up from a 2nd to a 3rd. That's the note we're aiming for. So we can go from the root up to that note, then we can bend from the 7th fret on the G, up a tone. Then the next one, the 3rd one, we can bend from the 8th fret on the B string up a tone. Okay, we're bending there from the note G, which is the 5th, up to the note A, which is the 6th. For all you guys who like theory, that's why I'm going to talk through the notes as well. If you don't understand that, don't worry. It's more just learning where the bends are and which ones sound best. So let's talk about which ones sound best. Now, often when soloing in major stuff, and just generally over chord sequences, often it depends on what chord you're going to be doing these bends over. But let's, for now, assume that we're just jamming over C major. Now, if we were to bend up this note, the note C, a tone, we're actually bending away from our root, and we're kind of creating this sort of sound, which is pretty nice, but it doesn't sound as resolved as if we just played that note. So often, if we were going to be playing a solo and we wanted to bend that note up, we could do this sort of thing. So you sort of play into it and you bend up and let it back to its original place. So you still get the effect of the bend, but we're resolving it on a nice, safe root note. Or I could do with a different finger. It's something Van Halen did a lot. When I've listened to his playing, he often bends up to that note and goes back to the root again. Okay, so the next bend we can talk about is going to be the 7th fret on the G. Now, if we were keeping that C chord in the background, that's what we're playing over the top of. By bending from this note, the note D, up a tone to the note E, we've actually bent from the second up to the major third, which is a chord tone, a triad tone, which sounds really, really sweet. Okay, so that's a sound Brian May, for example, uses all the time, and it sounds amazing. So that's a really, really good place to bend when you play in the major pentatonic. That is probably the sweetest sounding one of all. Okay, the next one then is this 8th fret on the B string. If we were to bend that up a tone, we're bending from the 5th, the note G, and up to the 6th, which kind of creates this sort of sound. This is a little bit jazzy, so often when bending that note, so just be aware with this one, when bending that note, we can go up and come back, because landing on the 5th sounds really, really great, because it's one of our chord tones. This is where it's the big difference between playing the same scale, you know, the A minor stroke C major pentatonic. This is where that headspace thing comes into effect, which I was talking about. If we were playing in A and I was thinking in A, I want to bend up that because I'm bending up to an A, which is my root note. However, when we're in C major, bending up to an A creates this kind of sound, whereas, you know, playing a 5th is just a lot more safe and a lot more solid. So that's one of the instances where that is really, really important, okay? So, one more time to recap. We can bend from our root, up a tone. We can bend from our second, up a tone. And we can bend from our 5th, up a tone. Then we can do that on the high E as well. So I could bend from this note, because it's the same as our root. Again, but as I sort of mentioned, if I was to bend up that note, which is our root, I kind of want to resolve it back down. So we land on the root, okay? So we can bend 5th on the G, 7th on the G, 8th on the B, 8th on the E string. All the same places that you would do if you were bending in the minor pentatonic. But the key is all those little details we discussed. Depending on what chord is in the background, in this case, if you were playing over a C major, some of the bends you would use if you were thinking in a minor pentatonic just wouldn't sound as settled and as sweet than the ones we've just discussed. So I'll go over it one more time. So bending up from this note, the 5th on the G, and back, really want to be aiming for that note if there's a C major in the background. This one is a great bend. That's our sweet Brian May-esque sounding one. This one, the 8th fret on the B, bend it and bring it back down to where we started. And the same thing goes for the 8th fret on the high E, if there's a C in the background. Now, if you were playing over a more complicated sort chord sequence, C, A minor, F, and G, for example, these things would vary a little bit. I'm literally just talking about if you were playing over a C major, okay? And that's all the places you can bend in a C major pentatonic or any major pentatonic. You just need to, you know, understand how the fretboard works by moving up and down if you wanted to transpose this to another key. Hope that all made sense. Make sure you click the link below to get that PDF. And also, if you haven't done it already, hit like to like the video, hit subscribe to subscribe to the channel, and click that alert bell so you don't miss any updates. If you want some more lessons and courses, you'll see some links below in the description, but come and check out my guitar school, Fretlix, www.fretlix.com. Loads of great courses and lessons guaranteed to help you become a better guitarist. Hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you again soon.